Yesterday, I came across a beautiful story. It happened so that Narad Muni was passing by, and while passing through a forest, he came across a very old sage. And the sage looked at Narad Muni and said, "Where are you going?" Narad Muni said, "I am going to God. We have a meeting." So the sage said that please tell him, please ask him, how many more lives? I have spent last 3 lives to attain moksha, to attain liberation. So now that you are going to meet God, please ask him, please share my concern. I want to know how many more lives? Narad Muni said, "Sure, I will ask God." Then he steps ahead, and as he moves on, in a nearby forest, beneath a tree, a young man is dancing, and he is in his own bliss. And Narad Muni asks him that I am going to God, and already I am carrying a message of another sage, an old sage. Do you have any message for God? Do you have any questions for God? And the young man is so much in his bliss, in his dance, that he is not here. Physically he is here. You may see him dancing, but he is in trance. He is singing and dancing. And so he doesn't respond. And so Narad Muni goes ahead, meets God, and then he returns back. And when he returns back, he goes to the old sage. He tells to the old sage that I have put your question before God, and God said that still 3 more lives, still 3 more births. Hearing that, the old sage became very angry. He threw all the beads and everything that he was chanting. He stood up. He said, 3 more lives? This is not fair. Narad Muni went on. And after a while, he came back to the same young man. And the young man was still dancing in his own bliss. And Narad Muni said that you didn't ask any question, but still, for you, I asked God. And God said that you will have as many lives as there are leaves in this forest. So the young man, for the first time, he said, for the very first time he said, that is this so? Only that much? That is too fast. I would have loved to have more and more lives. And the moment he said this, it is said that he got liberated. He attained moksha. So the beauty of the story is that if you have a certain agenda, certain goal, then you will never attain. The young man had no agenda, no goal. God tested him. God gave him an answer for a question that he never asked. But still God shared that answer. He wanted to test that young man. God said that you will have as many lives as there are leaves in this forest. Now there are millions and millions of leaves in a forest, maybe billions of leaves. And listening to that, the young man was not angry but very happy. He said, that much? That is too fast. And if you compare this with that old sage, that old man, then he got angry just by 3 births. When God gave him an answer that still 3 more births, the old man became angry. And this is the difference. When you are in rush, nothing happens. When you set a certain agenda, nothing happens. When you meditate with certain purpose, certain goal, certain agenda, nothing happens. Instead of focusing on the destination, if you focus on the journey, if you start enjoying the journey, then you will also dance. You will also sing like that young man. And only those men and women who can dance and sing without thinking about the goal, without thinking about the destination, will attain moksha. What a beautiful story. Only a certain meditative being can truly understand the essence of this beautiful story. In this podcast, I will now speak about Saturn Sun Conjunction. What happens when Saturn and Sun comes together? There are many myths about this conjunction. However, let me tell you, this is one of the most significant and beautiful conjunction, and you will find more about this beautiful conjunction in this podcast that now I am going to share with you all. So let's begin. Sun is the light of consciousness. Saturn is the judge. And so when they both come together, the native is blessed with the unique quality of making decisions, making judgments with consciousness, awareness. And that is how these natives cannot stand injustice, cannot tolerate discrimination, cannot accept slavery. Swatantra Veer Savarkar is one beautiful example of Sun Saturn Conjunction. He could not tolerate the slavery and the injustice that the British forced on his fellow countrymen. He revolted, he stood against all odds and fought with the mighty Britishers. One beautiful quote of Veer Savarkar is, "O motherland, sacrifice for you is like life, living without you is death." Swatantra Veer Savarkar was indeed the greatest freedom fighter that India had ever known. Reminds me of Mahatma Gandhi's words when he appreciated the great qualities of Veer Savarkar. In 1921, Mahatma Gandhi had specifically mentioned that Veer Savarkar is a great patriot. He is clever, he is brave, he is a patriot. The evil in its hidden form of the present system of government he saw much earlier than I did. He is in the Andamans for having loved India too well. Under a just government, he would be occupying a high post. Quotes Mahatma Gandhi while seeking release of Veer Savarkar in May 1921. Great freedom fighter is born with Sun Saturn Conjunction. Because as mentioned, they cannot stand injustice. They cannot tolerate discrimination. The light of consciousness, when conjuncts the judge, that is Saturn, how can you expect the native to tolerate injustice? Impossible. He will revolt, he will rebel, he will fight till his last breath, but he will never compromise. Always remember, to live a life of compromise is worse than death, and to live a life of truth, even if it is for a single moment, is far more valuable than to live eternally in lies. To die for truth is far more valuable than to live in lies. Saturn Sun Conjunction native, especially if the person is an evolved soul, then he will never compromise. They will prefer to die than to compromise. Remember, never compromise. I am absolutely against compromise. Death is far more beautiful than a life of compromise. There was a great man, a black man, who fought for his countrymen, who revolted against the imperial British cruelty in South Africa, and his name was Nelson Mandela. One beautiful quote of Mandela is, "A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizens, but its lowest ones." Judged, you see. Sun Saturn Conjunction natives, as mentioned earlier, are very conscious when it comes to judging. Nelson Mandela also was a Sun Saturn Conjunction native. In the horoscope of Nelson Mandela, Sun and Saturn are together. Sun and Saturn conjunction equals to judging with the light of self-consciousness. Nelson Mandela quotes, "As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same." Whenever Saturn comes in contact with outer planets, planets that appear after our planet Earth, such as Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, a certain depth of understanding is seen. And when the king of the universe, Sun, conjuncts Saturn, you can understand how deep understanding a native with this conjunction has. Such a native perfectly understands the significance of life than anybody else. What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead. Quotes Nelson Mandela, a perfect Sun-Saturn conjunction native. Nelson Mandela and his wife both had to go through many hardships. Saturn signify hardships, but they continued to fight for self-rule because Sun always wants independence. On one such occasion, Mandela's wife was sentenced to prison. But Nelson Mandela was not moved or shaken. Instead, he wrote a beautiful letter to his wife who was in prison. In the letter to his wife, Nelson Mandela emphasizes the significance of meditation. He writes to his wife, "You may find that the cell is an ideal place to learn to know yourself, to search realistically and regularly the processes of your own mind and feelings. In judging our progress as individuals, we tend to concentrate on external factors such as one's social position, influence and popularity, wealth and standard of education. But internal factors may be even more crucial in assessing one's development as a human being. Honesty, sincerity, simplicity, humility, purity, generosity, absence of vanity, readiness to serve your fellow men, qualities within the reach of every soul are the foundation of one's spiritual life. At least, if for nothing else, the cell gives you the opportunity to look daily into your entire conduct to overcome the bad and develop whatever is good in you. However, the letter is still not complete. The last lines of this beautiful letter must be written in gold. And here are the last lines of the letter that Mandela writes to his wife. Mandela writes, regular meditation, say of about 15 minutes a day before you turn in, can be fruitful in this regard. You may find it difficult at first to pinpoint the negative factors in your life, but the 10th attempt may reap rich rewards. Never forget that a saint is a sinner that keeps on trying. How deep is the last line? Never forget that a saint is a sinner that keeps trying. Beautiful. I just loved these lines. So much so that I am speechless. Only a meditative being can truly understand, resonate with these beautiful last lines, which reveals that it is only when you keep trying and trying and trying, one day you will slip out of the mind and attain enlightenment. The key is keep trying, never give up. The most significant point for you all to remember is that no matter what you are, you have to keep moving, and you can move only when you keep trying. Great things happen to those who always keep trying, keep going ahead, keep moving. Remember, the spiritual journey involves going beyond hope and fear, stepping into unknown territory, continuously moving forward. The most important aspect of being on the spiritual path may be just to keep moving. Saturn Sun Conjunction natives perfectly understand the significance of being persistent. Remember, you cannot attain the truth out of curiosity, because truth needs a persistent effort, a continuity, a perseverance which a man of curiosity cannot have. A man of curiosity can do a certain thing for a certain period of time, but there is a gap, and all that he has done is undone. A man of curiosity cannot reap the result. He can sow the seeds, but he cannot wait, because millions of new interests are always calling him. He goes to the south, he moves to the east, he goes to the west, then to the north. His energy is not moving towards a certain goal. He may be very active, but it is all futile. Perseverance is needed. A continuous hammering is needed. This perseverance comes through the conjunction of Saturn Sun, and the native never gives up. He always keeps trying. Remember Nelson Mandela. He was such a great man of perseverance that not only he himself is persistent in his efforts, but he also brought awareness to his wife by helping her realize the significance of perseverance, the significance of trying again and again and again until the goal is attained. Interestingly, the Saturn Sun Conjunction creates a great interest in bodybuilding. My father also had a Saturn Sun Conjunction, and although he passed away when I was 14, still I remember few instances when he had mentioned about his devotion towards bodybuilding. I was a bodybuilder, he had said then. And indeed, that is the truth. Later in life, I came across many Saturn Sun Conjunction natives who were either great bodybuilders or had great stamina. When the topic of bodybuilding comes, how can we forget the great actor and bodybuilder, Arnold? Arnold also has Saturn Sun Conjunction in Cancer sign.
Virgo ascendant Arnold looks young even when he crossed 50 years of age. Virgo ascendant has that special magic. I have seen many Virgo ascendant men and women who look astoundingly young even when they cross 60 years of age. Youthful look is the USP of Virgo ascendant. Many Virgo women look beautiful and young even in their late 50s. In exceptional cases, even a woman or man who has Virgo moon looks youthful in spite of being aged. That is the beauty of being Virgo in a nutshell. Saturn Sun Conjunction seed need to fall in the perfect soil, that is, in a suitable ascendant to manifest positively. Virgo, Libra, Gemini, Taurus, Aquarius ascendants are perfect soil for the seed of Saturn Sun Conjunction to grow, to flower, to manifest positively. Struggle comes naturally to Saturn Sun Conjunction natives. My father also had to go through a lot of struggle until one day he became a very famous journalist in Mumbai and a best-selling author of several novels, and later he ran many newspapers and magazines of his time. Politicians, film actors, spiritual dignitaries like Osho, my father had been with all as a part of his profession. He also got into daily soaps, that is television serials, and scripted over 6 television serials during those times, that is in the early 1990s. Even today, people remember him. A few years ago, I had been to my native hometown. I had planned for a visit to a very ancient Shiva temple. And so when I went, I met the main priest of the temple. He was a very well-educated old man, a PhD holder. And when he got to know about my father, he said, "I remember your father. I was a great fan of his books. I have read almost all of his books, and also I used to read his weekly magazines. I was very young then, but I remember." 25 years had passed to my father's death, and still this man remembered my father. That too while in Lord Shiva temple. I could have wished nothing more than to witness such a beautiful moment. So although Saturn Sun Conjunction brings struggle, it also provides you with the qualities to face the struggle and attain the goal. Always remember, a man of curiosity never has a goal to attain, but a man of perseverance has a goal to attain. There is a certain purpose to his life, a certain unfinished business that needs to be finished in this birth, this life. Remember, perseverance is a great element of success. If you only knock long enough and loud enough at the gate, you are sure to wake up somebody. The most unique observation in regards to Saturn Sun Conjunction is that the native is typically born in a common man's house. Saturn signifies commoners. However, with his perseverance, with his determination and fighting spirit, he rises to the status of a king. Sun signifies king or someone at the top post. Saturn signifies commoner, and when Saturn comes in contact with the king, signified by sun, it is observed that the native, though belongs to a family of commoners, still comes in contact with someone who is on the top post, and then he attains a higher position in society. Based on an individual's level of karma and consciousness, the Godfather story manifests. meaning irrespective of status, level or position of the native, at some stage the native meets his godfather who helps him progress in life. Saturn Sun Conjunction native is a street smart person, meaning he learns more from experiences than from classroom sessions. He can quickly understand your real motive, your real agenda, even though you try to mask yourself with a sweet talk and a pretty face. A wise man once had said, "I have learned more in the streets than in any classroom." Remember, we all have enemies. In fact, nowadays we also have enemies on the virtual platform. Since our major time and energy is spent in the virtual world, the world of internet, the world of web, the world of social networking. So, we have many jealous and sick secret enemies on social platforms. But a Saturn Sun Conjunction native never is quick to react and get mad at his enemies. He thinks without getting angry. He is always cool but thinking something very dangerous on how to strike at his enemy without being angry, without making much noise. In fact, a Saturn Sun Conjunction native never hates his enemy because that affects his judgment. Remember, never hate your enemies. It affects your judgment. To execute a certain operation, one has to be very secretive and should never let his enemies know about what is his next move. And Saturn Sun native is an expert in being very secretive. He never lets his enemies know what he is thinking and what he is up to. The great wise man Chanakya always used to say, "Never let anyone know what you are thinking." When it comes to power, Saturn Sun native is perfectly aware that nobody gives you power. You have to take power. You have to snatch it with all your might and intelligence. Remember, power is not a material possession that can be given. It is the ability to act. Power must be taken. It is never given. Saturn Sun native is in fact a highly cinematic character who goes through many adventures and many ups and downs and many power games. In a nutshell, their life is a perfect masala movie. Saturn dislikes Sun. The commoner dislikes the king. The son dislikes the father. And so the native is someone who never received affection from his or her father. Either the father is very strict or the father is very dry and insensitive towards the son. Many times, the father of the native is a loser or has lived through more miseries than otherwise. But the father angle is not positive, though the relationship with the mother is good. Still, somehow the native feels that he has not received the kind of love and caring from his parents that he is supposed to receive. A feeling of being treated unfairly is always lurking within their mind. And this feeling of being treated unfairly, not receiving what they rightly deserve, remains throughout their life. No matter where they go, they always feel that they haven't got the love that they deserve. And this is the problem with human beings in general. They think that they deserve love. They want to earn love, but that is not possible. Love is not deserved. You cannot earn it, and you cannot do anything to be worthy of it. Love is a sheer gift. The reason love is so scarce in the world is because we are expecting that people should deserve it. Only then can they get it. And that is something which is not a commodity. It is a value which is not of this world. You love someone, you cannot say why. You cannot answer. You can simply say, I love. There is no rationality in it. Love is experienced when you are receptive to love. The moment you receive my love, the moment you receive love from someone, you have experienced love. And the man who has shared love with you, who has loved you, is also happy. But that is not what happens in this human world. You expect that when you have loved someone, then that someone should also love you back. And that is where you miss. You miss the whole essence of love. You miss to realize that love needs no validation. Love needs no response. Love needs no give and take. Because love is not a deal. Love is a feeling, a pure feeling. As long as someone receives your love, it is enough. Remember, he could have rejected your love, but he is receiving your love. Always be grateful to the person who receives your love. Don't expect him to be grateful. These are the wrong attitudes. This is how we have made this world loveless. We expect the loved person to be grateful, which is absolutely wrong, because he could have rejected your love. You have to be grateful that he received it. He opened his heart and was available to you. What more worthiness is needed? True love needs nothing in return, expects nothing in return. When you love, you simply love. Love is happy to give, always happy to give. And you will give only that what you have. So to love others, you have to first start loving yourself. Only then can you love. Only then can the fragrance of your love reach the farthest shores of this planet and beyond. A man who loves himself takes the first step towards real love. It is like throwing a pebble into a silent lake. At first, circular ripples will arise around the pebble, very close to the pebble. Naturally, where else can they arise? And then they will go on spreading. They will reach the farthest shore. You will love yourself only when you are living in the state of awareness. That reminds me of a beautiful story. There was a great sage, and many people followed him. But he never initiated anybody as his disciple. His followers would come from faraway places and say, accept us. Initiate us into the truth you have achieved. Open the door of your temple to us also. We are thirsty. But he would say, you are not worthy. You don't deserve it. First you become worthy of me. And his conditions were such that nobody was ever able to fulfill them. He would put such conditions: be truthful for 3 years, not a single lie. For 3 years, be a celibate, not even a thought of a woman or a man, and so on and so forth. Those conditions were impossible, and those conditions are such that the more you try to fulfill them, the more you will feel it is impossible. You can be a celibate if you don't bother too much about it. But if you think too much about celibacy, then you will be surrounded by many women in your mind. Many people had tried and nobody was successful, and so nobody was initiated. Then one day the great sage was dying. He was on his deathbed and only 3 days were left for his death. He called his closest followers. They came. The sage said, now you go And whosoever wants to be initiated, I will initiate. Only 3 days are left. The people knew him well, and they said, "What about your conditions?" He said, "Forget all about those conditions. In fact, I was not ready to initiate anybody. Hence, I was insisting too much on the conditions. Now, I am ready and I am full and I want to share. Now, forget all about the conditions. Whosoever wants to come, fetch them and be in a hurry because only 3 days are left." He initiated everybody, all his followers. People could not believe it. They asked, "What are you doing? We are sinners." And he said, "Forget about it. I was not a saint up to now. That was the only trouble. I had nothing to initiate you into. There was no door. I was standing outside the door myself. But now the door has opened. Now I have to share. Now there is no question of any conditions." This is how it happens when you become love. When you experience loving yourself, only then can you initiate others into the shrine of love. When you are aware, you are not in need of love. When you are not in need of love, you become capable of love. Only a man, only a woman who is capable of being alone can truly love. Remember, the first lesson of love is to learn how to be alone. Life of the native with Saturn Sun Conjunction is full of tragedies and swings and many upheavals that often love is missed. But as I have mentioned, the message to all Saturn Sun Conjunction native is to learn to love yourself. Learn to appreciate and be grateful to the man, to the woman who receives your love, who resonates with your love. They need not respond to your love. They may have some compulsions. They may have some different expectations. That is fine. That is perfectly fine as long as they receive your love. Because love succeeds the moment it is received by those to whom you give. Saturn Sun Conjunction is a beautiful conjunction, especially for evolved souls, souls that are making efforts to move towards the state of higher consciousness. This conjunction indeed is a blessing in disguise for such evolved souls. In the Upanishads, there is another word for Brahmin. It is Dwij. And the word Dwij has a beautiful, deep meaning to it. The Upanishads mention that not by birth is anybody a Brahmin, but only by knowing the Brahma. That is the ultimate reality. One becomes a Brahmin. And another name for Brahmin, Dwij, means twice born. The first birth is of the body, the second birth is of the consciousness. Dwij, Brahmin. This is so beautiful. And this is what Jesus also says to Nicodemus. You have to reborn. A second rebirth is necessary. Jesus is also referring to the second birth, which is Dwij, second birth of the higher consciousness, of living in the higher state of consciousness. No matter how much you travel, you may go all around the world and you may read all the scriptures of all religions and faiths, and yet at the root of all is consciousness. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, one of the greatest spiritual master, quotes, realize you are the consciousness and that everything that arises and subsides is dependent upon consciousness and is made of consciousness. Sun Saturn conjunction is indeed a great conjunction since it has the potential to bring consciousness to the forefront. It is a conjunction that never gives up, and that reminds me of Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison quotes, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time." Thomas Edison, a legendary scientist, the fourth most prolific inventor in history. Edison had a Saturn Sun conjunction in Aquarius sign. As mentioned, these individuals never give up. They keep trying and trying until they succeed, until the bulb lit up. Edison says, "I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work." These natives possess the quality of perseverance, never giving up attitude, which indeed is the foundation of success. Edison quotes, "Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up." Can you imagine how many times Bill Gates must have failed before inventing the Windows system? He failed multiple times and yet he never gave up. Bill Gates also has Saturn Sun conjunction in Libra sign. Saturn is exalted. Many legendary figures are born with this conjunction, but the essence that you all should understand is that this conjunction gives a strong character, strong willpower, and strong conscience that enables the native to do well in his or her profession. The native with this conjunction may have a setback in personal life, may lack love, may lack the affection from father, but it does well, extremely well in professional life. Life is just like that. It never comes in a picture perfect mode. Where there are peaks, there are also valleys, deep valleys. That is how life is. That is how the nature of human life is. The higher the peak is, the deeper the valley will be. Near Mount Everest, the deepest valley exists, and it can only exist there. That is how life is. And in the case of Saturn Sun conjunction, this appears more prominently. The native succeeds in attaining his professional goals, but suffers on the personal front. Always remember, you feel alive when you work towards a certain goal, a certain mission, a certain purpose. Saturn Sun conjunction is beautiful because it brings a certain goal, a purpose to your life. And then you are no more the same. Then you are fired up. Then you are ready to risk everything. Then a great roar arises in your being, the roar of freedom. Then you are no more a ship. You become a lion. You become courageous. A Saturn Sun conjunction native is a person who is willing to lose the sight of the shore, because it is only when you have the courage to move away from the shore that you can explore the new horizons. Remember, you cannot swim for new horizons until you have courage to lose sight of the shore. Change is the nature of life. Except change, everything else changes. And the native with this conjunction are open to change. Their whole life goes through many changes, and in the process they evolve, they mature. And so the message to natives with Saturn Sun Conjunction is that though you are well equipped to sail through the many storms of your life, still it is necessary that you relax and spend some quality time with your family. Because personal life is always at stake, love relationship is always at stake, marriage is always at stake. So it is necessary that you maintain a good work-life balance and focus on enhancing the quality of your relationship. Remember, the quality of your life is the quality of your relationships. Personal life is indeed a life that deals with relationships, be it with your lover or with your parents or with anybody. As long as your relationships are in good shape, blossoming, flowering, your life in general also stays healthy, stays in good shape. So that's the message. Focus on enhancing the quality of your relationship and life will continue to blossom. Love yourself, live free, live young, let go, and always remember there is always someone out there who loves you. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.